mechanics wanted a place where they could hear the world's best music and most interesting speakers.
It stands as a testament, you know, to the mechanics who actually built the hall.
Artists from around the world wanted to come to Worcester because it had Mechanics Hall.
It's not just a concert hall. It's such an inclusive element of the community.
This is still our meeting place. This was the place the president selected. This is where the arts and culture show up. Thank heavens for Mechanics Hall, because I can go there most every day of my life.
When the Mechanics Association built Mechanics Hall in 1857, they did so because they needed a gathering space. The building was to show the world what America could do, what Worcester could do, create, build, engineer. The leadership understood the value of uplifting people and creating space that was inspiring. May seem frivolous, and yet here we are, 150 years later, still admiring, still feeling great when you come into the room.
They wanted to build something that was elegant, that showed that they were on a par with their forebears from Europe. They wanted to show that they had the same grace and elegance and style that those people had. So they asked Elbridge Boyden to design the Great Hall, give a place where Charles Dickens could come to speak, or Mark Twain could come to speak. William Lloyd Garrison was one of the great orators of the 19th century, and he came here and gave some fiery speeches. In the late 19th century, major issues of the day were discussed.
And I said, it's time. Well, I got everyone down there.
And speakers like Lucy Stone advocated for women's rights from the stage of Mechanics Hall.
They also had wonderful cultural activities. It's always been a place where music can be heard.
And if you had a playlist of all the people who have been here and performed and spoken, it would be a who's who of classical musicians and interesting speakers. And we strive to have that same sort of environment today. Best music still is performed here.
Please say hello to the Count Basie Orchestra.
The hall itself is on the National Register of Historic Places. Being listed thus requires you to make no changes in the appearance of the public spaces. The Main Street facade, those storefronts look exactly like the storefronts did in any number of old pictures of the hall. The stairway from the first floor up looks, I'm sure, as it did when Elbridge Boyden and his contemporaries climbed it. When I first came here, it had morphed into a skating rink and a hall used for boxing and wrestling, and that's because the activities that were appropriate for it had wandered down Main Street to the then new kid on the block, which was the Worcester Municipal Auditorium.
It survived that, and people remember it today, and I think that they contributed to the restoration project because they had familiarity with the building.
My memory is not so much the people who wanted to get behind it, but the people who were out in front, namely Julie Chase Fuller and Dick Steele. The hall, I think, was in serious danger of becoming a parking lot at one point before they really organized and led the way, and they're the ones who got the community behind it.
And I wasn't very familiar with the hall. I just roller skated there once, and I saw Haystack Calhoun wrestle here once. So to me, I didn't know what to make of it. But my father told me stories about seeing, I remember Nat King Cole on the Saturday afternoon jazz matinees on the stage way back, and Ella Fitzgerald. And his stories told me this place had value. So when I saw it come to life for the first shows, it was clear that this was the right thing to do.
There are actually cherubs over the organ, and they're painted gold. They put scaffolding up, and at one point in time, they asked me if I would climb the scaffolding to see if the gold was the proper color. So I was fine when I was up there, but getting down was very iffy. I'm not sure how many people could actually say, sitting in the audience, well, the gold is a different color than it was before.
People look at the organ and they see 50 pipes and they think, wow, this is a big organ. But they don't realize that there is, in this case, thousands of pipes inside the organ. In the grate, we're going to have the trumpet aid. All these pipes are being fed by air when the organist requests it, so to speak. So they play, you know, the music. And so it's a very complex machine, and the reverberations in the room help to bring out the sound of the instrument.
Singers love the hall too, because the hall carries their voice naturally, and the hall just literally sings along with them, and it just gives them a beautiful tone, and they don't have to strain. In a hall like this that was so well designed acoustically, it isn't necessary for microphones or straining, because the hall is long, rectangular, with high ceilings, and it just reverberates the sound beautifully.
Call me unreliable, throw in undependable too.
It's not just a concert hall. It's such an inclusive element of the community. I mean, between the brown bag concerts that happen in the middle of the day that bring people into here that may not otherwise have been in here. Typically throughout the school year, you'll see school bus after school bus lined up outside where they're bringing kids in to see some kind of event that maybe they wouldn't have seen otherwise. It certainly opens its doors to the whole community.
The reason that the building has withstood the test of time is because it's a multi-purpose building. And the mechanics knew that that's the kind of building they had to construct. We can configure both meeting rooms, the Great Hall and Washburn Hall, in any way. We can have dances or dinners. We can have classroom seating. We can do whatever our clients need.
Most of the institutions that existed 150 years ago are gone. The composition of the patrons of Mechanics Hall has changed dramatically in 150 years.
Organizations, those on the board, please stand to be recognized.
Those are the new mechanics. The business people of Worcester are the people who come and use the hall and celebrate the hall. Whether it's a Chamber of Commerce meeting that's coming, where people are coming together, or a business that's coming in here to do their annual meeting, or bringing their customers in here to update them on their latest products and services. These are our customers.
So we're fortunate that we can actually do weddings and proms and annual meetings.
That I will support and defend the Constitution and laws.
The immigrants who come here for the naturalization ceremony, all over the world, they come here to a historically significant building where they can celebrate and feel comfortable doing that.
We're still used by the community every day. We like to say history's made here every day, and because we're inspirational still to this day.